Well, good afternoon and welcome to another PVALC author live stream. As always, we want to thank our sponsor, Southwest 66 Credit Union, for sponsoring all of our 2024 author live streams. So appreciate their sponsorships to make this possible. Today, we are so excited to have a local author and graphic designer and artist, Chris, tell me how to say your last name.
Ruggia.
Ruggia.
Yes.
And he is the author of the American Black Bear novel. We're so happy to have you today, Chris.
Thank you. Thanks so much. I appreciate the invitation.
Absolutely. So let's get right into it because we have a happy surprise for our viewers later in the live stream. So we want to be able to fit that in. So why don't you start by introducing yourself and then tell our viewers a little bit about yourself and the book.
Okay. Well, my name is Chris Ruggia. I live in Alpine with my wife Ellen. We've been here since the mid '90s, and we met in art school actually. So I've always been making paintings and drawings, and I spent a lot of time making comic books actually of the animals in the Big Bend area. So I have a series of those. That's been a little while since I've done those, and more recently, I got really excited about working with wildlife researchers and the folks that are learning about the animals that we share this landscape with. And I spoke to two of them about black bears. It actually started where I have a friend who was wildlife biologist at Big Bend National Park for 30 years. And I had coffee with him and we were talking about his career, his fascinating job. He was studying mountain lions and bears and all kinds of things. But the primary takeaway I had was that black bears had not been in Big Bend National Park since the park started in the 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And right after he took that job, they saw the first cubs that were born in Big Bend National Park. And those were some of the first native Texas bears in 40 years or more. And then a little after that, I spoke to a young guy who's working studying bears right now as they expand their territory. And that inspired me to put some material together, to do some drawings and make a little book about bears moving around and finding new places to live out where we are.
Wonderful. Well, so what do you want our readers and viewers and followers what do you want them to be the biggest takeaway from this novel that you created, this illustrated novel?
Yeah, well, it's actually a modest, it's a little book. It's only like 12 pages long, so I don't want to overstate it. But well, I think one of the couple of things. One is kind of to show people how much we do and how much we don't know actually about the creatures that we share the world with, that we're always learning more. So I give them a little glimpse of the people who are doing this work. And then, and one of the things that right now is happening is that bears are expanding their territory and they're finding new places to live as we get more bears in the state. And so more and more of us are going to be sharing our neighborhoods with bears as they wander through. And it's up to us to try to help them realize that our neighborhoods are not safe places for them. And so there's one page in the book that's really about how tips that I was given of things that you can do to keep your neighborhood less attractive to bears. And so that would probably be one of the takeaways, is just to think about, how do bears see the world and how can we make sure that our spaces don't feel like spaces that are good for them, because we need them to be where they're safe and where we're safe too.
And also, we have to learn to cohabitate with what wild animals, right? Because essentially they were there first, and we've kind of just built around them, and so we got to learn to live with the wild animals that exist. And wild animals are an important part of of the world. So we
Absolutely.
can't just, ignore them.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a lot of what I'm doing is not just on bears, but really excited about learning about how we're studying all kinds of creatures in the area. So I've got a lot of work ahead of me for years to come, hopefully.
And so why are you so passionate about drawing specifically wild animals around Big Bend or in the wild?
It was a gradual thing. I had kind of a regrouping period. I was doing a lot of paintings, but then realized I didn't know why. I didn't know what I had to
Mhm.
say. And so I stepped back and waited until something came up. And at the time, one of my jobs in Alpine is helping to promote tourism. And I thought, so I was thinking a lot about visitors to the area and what would make how they experience our region and what makes a more fun visit. And part of that was think the natural world. And so I thought I could help
Mhm.
interpret that and give people a fun way to have information about what animals they might see, but also the mammals. You're not going to see a lot of them. So just letting them know
Mhm.
these are the creatures that are here, and this is what their life is might be like. Uh, and so that
Exactly.
but and the one of the things that was just so fun when I was doing my comics though was that research piece was actually learning the real story about how who eats who and where do they live and what how do they
Mhm.
act and things like that. That was so much fun for me to learn and then share that that's as much of it as anything is that constant just learning. It's just exciting and plus they're really
Well,
fun to draw.
and there's nothing more exciting, there's a lot of excitement that builds around wild animals, but for some reason, bears in particular, people are in, buffalo and in those type of animals, people are fascinated with them. So, what a great way to bring interest into the alpine area is to promote black bears specifically.
Yeah, their faces are so much like ours in a lot of ways. Their
Uh-huh.
features kind of sit when they look right at you. Uh, you know, uh, Dogs have such expressive eyes and stuff, but something about the way their features sit on their heads that we can just imagine how they must be feeling. Bears just feel like, and they move like kind of like people. So I think that's part of what
And they're
they resonate with us.
they just look cute and cuddly, although, I wouldn't recommend petting them.
No, no, we need to keep our distance from each other so everybody stays safe because we don't want bears to get hurt. Because if they accidentally hurt
Mhm.
somebody, then that's a sad story for the bear in the long run.
Detrimental for them as well.
Mhm.
So that's important for people to understand is like, if if they do hurt humans, they unfortunately have to be killed. And so we need to be respectful of them, and that, so that they don't hurt us and we don't hurt them.
Absolutely, yeah,
So
and their cubs are so cute. And this most folks know this, but
mhm,
the mother is taking care of those cubs, and so we need to keep our distance anytime we might see a bear of any age, but particularly a young one. Want to stay away from them and let them do what they're going to do without us being involved.
mhm, absolutely. And so you were talking about how it's nice to draw bears because they have such great features. So you have a surprise for us. You're gonna briefly demo how to draw a black bear.
Yeah. What do you want me to go do that first? Did you want me to read a little bit from the book, or you want to go straight into the demo?
Yes. Why don't you go ahead and read a little bit from the book, and then we'll get into the demo part.
Okay. Let's see here. I'll move my camera. So here's the front cover of the book. It's called American Black Bears: New Neighbors in the Big Bend. Here's the title page. I'm really happy with this mama bear and her cubs. So the first section is called Bears on the Move, that sets the the stage sort of for our story, so to speak. It's called Bears on the Move. In 1983, the state of Texas made American black bears a protected species, and hunting them was outlawed. Before then, it was tough to be a bear in Texas. It was so tough, in fact, that when Big Bend National Park was established in 1947, there were no bears left within the boundaries of the park. Here's the park right here on this map of the state. Over the years, when visitors would occasionally report a bear sighting, it would be a male wandering on his own, and he didn't stick around. But in the late 1980s, a female bear traveled at least 50 miles across the desert from the mountains of northern Mexico into Big Bend National Park. So I show the mountain ranges here and the movement up to the park. She settled in the Chisos Mountains, where she eventually met one of those wandering solitary male bears. And in 1989, she and her 2 cubs were spotted by a park visitor. Big Bend had bears again. Depending on the food supply, the number of bears in the Chisos Mountains has grown, temporarily decreased during periods of severe drought, and then grown again. At this point, the Chisos Mountains, like those mountains in northern Mexico, have a stable enough population of bears to serve as a source for bears heading out to other places. So that's that first spread, and then I'll flip through the book really quickly just folks can see the drawings. Here's the 2 researchers that I spoke to. This is Raymond Skiles and Matthew Hewitt. Here's the little instructions about how to keep your neighborhood bear safe. And here's a little lesson in the book for how to draw a bear. This is probably not the bear I'll draw now. And I also have a coloring page at the back. And then some information on how bears get tracked. So it's a simple little booklet. But I thought, yeah, I've got a piece of paper here. I'm going to wake up.
That's such a fascinating story, Chris, because I mean that female bear traveled quite a distance.
She did,
to
and
get to Big Bend.
It's true. One of the things that we're learning right now is that it's actually not as rare as we thought for bears to travel so far. That some bears, especially the males, they might travel 100 miles in a year and back again. That was a big surprise that we're learning right now with the project that's got collars, GPS collars on the bears. So let's see. I usually start with a circle for the head, and I'm going to draw a mother bear and her cubs. So she's got so I'll do a little light.
You make this look way too easy. If I try to copy this, it would definitely not look like a bear.
It takes a lot of practice, that's for sure.
And so do you have numbers on how many black bears are in the Big Bend alpine area?
No, that's actually one of the things that they're working on right now is trying to figure out exactly how many. So they'll put up traps that will temporarily hold the bear, and then they give them some sedative, and they'll weigh them and get health information about them. But that's only some. That's only some of the bears. So another way that they're going about trying to figure out how many bears there are is they're putting what's called hair traps, which are just pieces of barbed wire or a metal grate that the bears might like to scratch against. And then they'll take the hair samples and get DNA samples to get a sense of how many bears have been there.
Mm. And, I know this may sound like a silly question, but I know they're black bears, but do they ever come in other colors, or are they just black?
Yes, black bears actually come in they can be brown. Sometimes they can be very even a pale brown. They're
Okay.
mostly black, but
Only from my understanding, the little knowledge that I know about black bears is they're smaller than, let's say, the bears that you would find like at Yellowstone, correct? They're smaller in size.
the ones in our region are, yeah. And there's the desert bears are just going to be smaller. There's not as much for them to eat. And
Yes.
let's see. So brown bears and are like grizzly bears are, I've learned recently, are a subspecies of brown bear.
Okay.
And yeah, and so brown bears are, I think, are often larger.
So is that an issue? Do you think that will be an issue in the future in order for, because you mentioned there's just not enough, being that they're in the desert environment and there's not enough for them to eat. Do you think that will be an issue for further, I guess, growth of the black bear in the area?
Well, I think that it's gonna keep the population fairly low. In some ways, I think that it might actually help to minimize the kind of spread and population impact that we might have, because just the environment can only support so many bears, and so there aren't likely to be so many that we're gonna really run into trouble, I hope. But we will see, especially the young males, as they wander and try and find a place to live as they grow up. They're going to be exploring, and that's where we might find them in our neighborhoods as they look for a spot that's gonna work for them.
And do you see, when you're doing your research and speaking to the rangers, do you foresee them, like the males, wandering even into like Midland, Odessa area, or that area, San Angelo, further that way to find food, or?
That's a good question. I would personally be surprised. They do like the mountain areas. There's more for them to eat. But I think it really remains to be seen. If the more that the population gets expands and is healthy, the more possibility there might be.
And do black bears, like grizzlies and other bears, do they also hibernate and during the winter months?
Well, they do. They den is what they call it in our area. Okay. Well, actually, one thing that we're learning is that most bears, and black bears in particular, they don't actually hibernate in literal terms. They do slow down. They go in what's called torpor, but it's not a true hibernation where they're actually sleeping for all those months. And in the warmer areas like we live, they do go into a den and slow down for the wintertime, but it might only be 17 to 30 days, something like that, where they're really slowed down.
Okay. And how many cubs
Go ahead.
How many cubs does a female bear typically have?
They usually have a pair, and they might have different fathers. Oddly enough, the way that bears are built, they might. One litter of bears might have two different fathers.
Wow, that's so interesting. There's so much that people don't know about bears.
I know. Well, there's my drawing. I like to draw with ink and brushes, as you can see.
Uh-huh.
This is a kind of a simple cartoony mama bear with her two babies.
Very good.
Thank
Enjoyed
you.
that demo, Chris.
All right, well, I'll get my camera back on here.
And so, besides the Black Bear book, what other projects or books are you currently working on right now?
Well, right now I'm getting ready to go to Big Bend National Park because I've been awarded a residency in the Artist in Residence program at the National Park, which is such an honor. I applied.
Congratulations!
Thank you. I hoped, but I did not expect to be accepted, and I was. So at the end of August and start of September, I'll be in the national park, and I've spoken to their research staff to see, what did they want me to focus on, and turned out there was so much more to learn about bears and what we're studying now that I'm going to keep going. I'll be visiting one of Matthew Hewitt, the younger of the two researchers I worked with. One of his colleagues, Nicole Dickin, she observes where the bears that they get the GPS collars, and when they stop for a period of time, and the GPS pings every 2 hours, and they have these clusters of pings noting that bear is in that one place for a period of time, and she'll go to that place and figure out, well, what were they doing there? So she finds the little nest that they build to sleep in, and she finds the foods that they like to eat, and how the different bears behave individual one to the other. So I'm going to work with Nicole to investigate some of those places, and I'm hoping to do a sequel to my little bear book.
I was going to say, it would be so, this is all just so fascinating. I've learned a lot more just in these 30 minutes about black bears, just bears in general, that I didn't know. And I'm sure there's so much more that we need to learn. But I was going to say, it would be so fascinating if you and Nicole could follow one mama bear from whenever she was a small calf to whenever she became a mama herself. That would be such an interesting journey to follow.
It would, yeah. I'm really interested to see where it goes.
Well, and so where can people get information about your book, and where can they purchase your book? I know it's only sold in a few places right now, but hoping to expand.
The print copy of the book is only available at Front Street Books in Alpine, and also the Chihuahuan Desert Nature Center, which is between Alpine and Fort Davis, which is a great place. They're the little hiking trails and stuff. Their gift shop has them. You can also order it from my website, which is my name, chrisruggia.com. But I also have a digital ebook copy for free. And so if folks want to read the book and look at the drawings, they can go to my website, chrisruggia.com. I believe the link will be in the caption, whatever, for this video. And right on the homepage, there's a link. You can fill out a little form and request the book, and we'll email it right to you.
So if possible, we're always very supportive of shopping independent bookstores. So if you can go and order your book from the Front Street bookstore, or the Chihuahuan
Desert Nature Center.
Chihuahuan Desert.
Just come down to Alpine and shop the bookstore. It's
absolutely. Visit Alpine, visit Big Bend, and grab a copy of the book, and go out there and do some hiking and explore wildlife in Big Bend and the Alpine area. Well, because we love reading and books and novels, what are you currently reading, and what are some recommendations especially for wildlife enthusiasts?
Oh gosh. Well, I'm in a book club, actually. We just read Cormac McCarthy's All the Pretty Horses. So I just finished that, and I enjoyed it. wasn't as favorite of mine as a lot of folks. They really adore it, but I enjoyed it. I read a lot of comics right now. I'm reading an Egyptian graphic novel, and
Oh,
so the
okay.
name of it is in Egyptian. It's called Shubayik Lubayik, which is
Oh,
Arabic,
okay.
I guess, or Egyptian, I don't know, for "Your wish is my command," which is in Aladdin. That's what the genie says, and so it's imagining a contemporary world, but where there are actual wishes of, and the wishes are of different qualities. Some like the cheap, those wishes are banned actually, that don't do what you want, But it's really interesting world of so it's kind of a fantasy, yet also kind of a satire of our current world. So
Yeah.
I'm reading that. That's really interesting. But yeah, I do read a lot of comics. I prefer the ones that like there's another one called Ducks, which is about a woman working in the tar sands in Alberta in Canada,
Okay.
and that came out last year. That's by Kate Beaton, Beaton. That's an amazing story. She just does a great job of kind of giving that experience of being a young woman, because a lot of folks work in the oil industry, oil and energy
Mm-hmm.
to make good money, but a lot of those environments are historically very gendered. It's this where the
Male
guys would go
dominated.
out and work, and so this was her story of being even more remote, than Permian Basin oil installations, and
Wow.
it was a mixed bag for her, but she told that story in Ducks. That was a really good graphic novel.
That those all sound so interesting. Thank you for sharing those with us, Chris, and
Sure.
thank you for dimming the drawing of the black bear and for sharing your novel with the world. And I want to thank you again for joining us this afternoon, and good luck on your new venture. We
Yeah,
look
well, and
forward to.
I also want to offer your
Yes.
viewers. I'm giving away the original artwork for any of the drawings that you saw as I
Okay.
flipped through. I mean, give to the whoever wins the drawing, we can pick whichever one they want, and I'll send them the original artwork. And so I believe you guys will put the link to enter my little contest in the caption for the stream. So that's something I hope you guys, if you liked the drawings, you maybe want the original one, then enter the contest. I hope you win.
Absolutely. Yes. We'll share those links in the comments after the live stream. So make sure and enter that. Those drawings are just so fabulous. That's what captured. I love novels with beautiful illustrations on the
Thank
cover.
you.
So the black bear that's on the front cover of your novel is just I just love it.
Thanks so much, Alva. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
Yes, and so make sure and check out Chris on all your socials and his website, and make sure and enter to win a, a copy of the original drawings, and go and get you a copy of the book as well.
Yeah.
It's available at Front Street and the
Chihuahuan
Chihuahuan.
Desert Nature Center.
Thank you. Black Bear available now for purchase. And also this year, PBALC will also be doing a additional giveaway of all the authors that we featured this year. So the American Black Bear novel will be included in that bundle. So at the end of the
Oh,
year,
nice.
we are going to raffle out that bundle of books. So the American Black Bear will be included in all those wonderful
Oh,
authors and that we have featured. So thank you again, Chris, for joining us. And make sure and log in, everyone, all of our followers, viewers, to log in next time for our next author interview. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see everyone next time.
thank you, Alva. Have a great day.
Thank you.